Okay, so welcome back. So now today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about another special triangle, the 30, 60, 90 triangle, right? And we're going to find, for 30 and 60 degrees, we're going to find those values, okay? But the way we're going to do this is a little differently, because if we have 30 degrees here, so if we draw a not a rectangle, but a triangle here, okay, and we have another triangle here that also, like the mirror image, so we reflect this across the x-axis, and we go negative 30 degrees, okay, from the initial side. Then what happens is these two angles, so we get a bigger triangle if we connect them together. We get a bigger triangle, and this angle here is 60 degrees. Now, since these are reflections of each other, this angle has to be equal to that angle. And so that means both of these must be 60 degrees as well, because if this is 60, that leaves 120 for these two. And so we end up with an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle has equal sides, which means that we know the radius here has to be 1, and we know the radius here has to be 1, and we know that this distance has to be 1. But also, keep in mind, that's xy. So this here is y, and so is this distance y. So this distance from the x-axis is y, and this distance here is also y. In the negative direction, but it's y. So that means that this distance here is 2y. So this means that we have this equation, 1 equals 2y. Okay. So that's where we're at. So if I'm looking at 30 degrees, right? Oh, and by the way, let's just remember, this is pi over 6 in radians, pi over 3 in radians, and of course, pi over 2 in radians. Okay. Well, what does that mean? So we can also then say, okay, look, if this is 2y, right? This is 2y here. Well, then also that means what? Right, that's also equal to 2y. Okay, or in general, r is equal to 2y. Which also tells us what? That y is equal to r over 2. Or 1/2 of r, if you want to look at it that way. But since r is 1, right? Y is equal to 1/2. Right? Which we get from here. So here, y is equal to 1/2. So let me write this here. So this is 1. So we get y is equal to 1/2. Okay? Now let's look at this. So this is y, right? Y is equal to 1/2. But we also know that sine of theta is equal to 1. So that means, in this case, sine theta is equal to y, which is equal to 1/2. So the sine of 30 degrees is equal to 1/2. Okay? Or the sine of pi over 6, if you will, is 1/2. Okay, now, that's one of them, right? That was pretty easy, right? We didn't have to use any trig to figure that out, right? Well, what about cosine of 30 degrees? Well, in this case here, we're going to have to use the Pythagorean identity. Okay? And so we know that cosine squared pi over 6, let's just use pi over 6, you could use 30 degrees, plus sine squared pi over 6 is equal to 1. And this is equal to 1/2, so this is going to be cosine squared pi over 6 plus what? It's going to be 1/2 squared, which is going to give us a 1/4, right? And so this is going to equal 1. So now it's just solving, right? So we get cosine squared of pi over 6 equals 1 minus a fourth, which equals 3/4, right? And now we're going to take the square root of both sides, and we get cosine of pi over 6 equals the square root of 3 over the square root of 4, which is 2. And we get the square root of 3 over 2. Okay. Now, again, this is going to be plus or minus. Okay? But since we're in quadrant 1, and we know that cosine is positive, then this is going to be positive. Okay? Then of course y is positive. Okay. That's it. Have a great day.